I'm Susan McGinnis with Clean Skies News. Clean Skies has learned that the White House has been talking to utilities about retiring older coal plants and is now working on a plan to encourage utilities to repower those units. Tyler Souters is here now with some details about this plan. We've been expecting it from the White House. So the president made somewhat of a veiled hint about this possible plan. Is he hinting at a possible incentives for fuel switching at some of the nation's older coal plants?
That's how I read it, Susan, given his comments today, and it certainly seemed that way if you were looking for those particular comments, if you were willing to read between the lines during his speech today. But first of all, let's set the stage. The president delivering a wide-ranging speech to the Business Roundtable this afternoon, a speech that included, once again, his call for a price on carbon. And President Obama prefaced his pitch this time by defending what he says is his inclusive energy policy.
We've announced loan guarantees to break ground on America's first new nuclear plant in nearly 3 decades. We're supporting 3 of the largest solar plants in the world. And I've said that we're willing to make tough decisions about opening up new offshore areas for oil and gas development. So what we're looking at is a comprehensive strategy, not an either-or strategy, but a both-and strategy when it comes to energy.
And apparently that broad Obama energy policy could soon include a deliberate transition away from certain kinds of coal-fired generation. Today I spoke with a contact of mine, an energy strategist based here in Washington, and the strategist tells me the White House is on the verge of announcing a plan to do exactly that, the so-called utilities cash for clunkers plan. This is the term that's being tossed around here in Washington. Now, this energy strategist tells me the White House and EPA have been meeting with utilities discussing a plan to retire older coal-fired plants. And now the Obama administration is preparing a plan to encourage utilities to repower those coal units, potentially through a transition to natural gas-fired generation. Now, we don't know exactly what shape this White House plan will take, but the strategist does tell me it will almost certainly require congressional approval. Now, since you know that a plan is now in the works, according to my source, here are the president's relevant comments from today's speech at the BRT.
To truly transition to a clean energy economy, I've also said that we need to put a price on carbon pollution. Many businesses have embraced this approach, including some who are represented here today. Now, still, I am sympathetic to those companies that face significant potential transition costs. And I want to work with this organization and others like this to help with those costs and to get our policies right.
And there's the apparent connection, quoting now, companies that face significant potential transition costs, and also the president saying, I want to help with those costs. Now, this afternoon, I asked the White House about the administration's discussions and plans with utilities about coal plants, and the press office responded by saying, quote, don't know where this rumor keeps coming from, but nothing is in the works other than investing in carbon capture and storage technology. Nonetheless, Susan, my contact is standing by this take, saying an official announcement from the White House, maybe even President Obama himself, could come at any time.
Possibly sometime soon. All right, so we'll wait for that announcement. Now, his other big point today was about putting a price on carbon. Certainly that didn't come as a surprise to the people at the BRT, and many of those support it.
Right. Well, he made a reference in his speech talking about that, saying some of you do support the idea of pricing carbon, but he was careful to say some. This is not industry consistent necessarily. What we hear from the administration, what we hear from members of Congress, what we hear from some members of the private sector are that, yes, industry does want a price on carbon. What goes unsaid quite often is the fact that if it's legislation versus regulation, yes, we want legislation above federal regulation, and we're willing to pay that price for carbon. But, Susan, it's certainly not a unilateral belief or support within the Business Roundtable.
Okay, thanks, Tyler. And we'll wait for that supposed announcement about the Utilities Cash for Clunkers program.
Right, maybe very soon.
All right, thanks, Tyler Souters. And I'm Susan McGinnis for Clean Skies News.